I want to do a podcast about films.
I'm not stopping you.
No, with you, you fool.
Oh, so you mean you want us to do a podcast about films?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you say that?
I did. I am.
Well, you can't say films. You need to say movies. It's a more broadly recognised term.
Yeah, don't worry about that now. Are you interested?
We can't just talk about films we like. That would be boring.
Okay, then what about films we don't like?
That sounds even more boring.
Okay, how about this? Films we disagree on.
Ah, intriguing. So one of us likes it, the other one doesn't. And we discuss our opinions on the film?
I think you mean movie.
Yeah, don't worry about that now.
But yeah, that's the gist of it.
All right, I'm in.
Great.
Could still be boring, though.
You're boring.
I don't see how that's relevant.
Should we do one now? Hello and welcome to Movie the Needle. My name's Simon and I'm joined by my good friend Carl as we discuss our opposing viewpoints and try to movie the needle for the other person. This week's movie is the middle film of Richard Linklater's Before trilogy, which sees us catch up with Jesse and Celine in Paris 9 years after the ambiguous ending in Before Sunrise, which chronicled their once-in-a-lifetime encounter in Vienna. Did they? Didn't they? Will they? Could they? Should they? Answers ensue. It's Before Sunset.
As well, because we could have brought that up.
I know.
Do you want to do that again? Bill Nye. Is there a difference?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to try and say less. Let's see how that goes.
Well,
anyway.
Good luck.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Anyway, we're here. How's it going?
Not bad, mate. What about you?
I am all right. Yeah. I was up late last night.
Oh, yeah.
Frantically taking notes of this film.
Frantically. Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I've already done that bit. That's why it took so long to get to the right.
Say that doesn't take that long, does it? Surely.
Yeah, that's true. True. So what's new with you? Oh, I should say, warning, I don't have a game for you this week.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, I was struggling, right? Because all I could come up with was things, and I tried to avoid this, that, having too personal questions, because this is, the movie we're doing. It's a very personal film, first love, regrets, missed opportunities, so try to avoid.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a fun game. Anything that was in there, yeah.
Or have I?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll just lie.
I actually haven't, because I don't want you to ask me the same questions and have to go on record, because my wife listens to this.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's new?
Not a lot. My film watching is still way down.
Life, innit?
Yeah, well, sunny this weekend, wasn't it? So I was working in the garden and got to enjoy the sun at the same time. And afterwards, had a couple of beers afterwards as well, which was great. Now, on beer, I
like beer.
Yeah, you know how much I like a West Coast IPA.
A proper West Coast.
West Coast, right?
From the West Coast.
Yes, from
you
the
may
West
even
Coast.
say brewed on the West Coast as well.
Yeah, on the West Coast of America as well, because I don't know what Blackpool's got going on. I'm guessing it's not overly hoppy.
No.
Yeah, so look, I like a West Coast IPA, and indeed a fresh, hoppy West Coast IPA is brilliant in the sunshine.
Lovely stuff.
You know what the drink I enjoyed most this weekend was?
Pissy lager.
A lager.
Yeah.
Nothing hits harder than a lager in the sunshine.
What, any particular lager?
This one was a Red Stripe.
Okay.
Which is
perfectly
nice. Huh?
A gig beer.
Yeah, it is a bit of a gig beer, isn't it? But I put it to you that feeling of a lager in the sunshine, that ultimate refreshment, is why the best pint will always be a holiday lager on holiday.
Oh, yeah, quite possibly. See, I think it's the thing with the lager in the sunshine. It's when you've not necessarily worked up a thirst, but you have the thirst because it's hot. Thing, and it's that combination of crisp, refreshing, and also boozy. So it's just a thing of beauty. And if you're looking out at something good. At the same time, you've got the view.
Well, this is it: beach, pool. Maybe you've been wandering around some whitewashed village, and you're just sitting down at a cafe for a drink.
Whitewashed village,
the local
Hampsway.
Yeah. Well, the local lager. Oh, nothing better.
Yeah, I mean, do you...
I am literally salivating, by the
way. Lovely. Do you...
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with it.
Do lagers suffer from the same issue that other holiday drinks have. You know, where you enjoy a holiday drink, maybe a spirit, maybe some weird liqueur thing, or a wine. Actually, find it with wine quite like this is lovely. I'll take a good
Get it
bottle
back,
or
it's
two.
piss,
Yeah. You're going, oh no. I think lagers.
Well, listen, look, so much of my entire happiness is tied up and welded to holiday and their memories that
beer.
And beer, yes. That I have no problem bringing back any holiday lager and immediately putting myself back in the right mindset.
If I recall, when we went on a work trip together, you took an empty suitcase with which to bring back the beers.
Has some clothes in it, isn't it?
Yeah, did you need to take the suitcase?
I mean, I'd be careful about
clothes,
calling
would you
that
say?
holiday publicly as well.
I didn't say it. That's fine. I don't work there anymore.
I do.
I mean, it definitely was.
Right, moving on.
So what have you watched?
Oh, like, again, just literally this film. But
Just this film?
now, I don't want you to think that this podcast is just a thinly veiled excuse to get out of the house and have a beer.
Sure.
Because I might not have watched any films, but I have been thinking about films, and indeed...
Well, that's the main thing.
Yeah, well, I like to think so. And indeed, things that we have said on the podcast. Laying awake at night. Are we
going straight to the... I thought I was going to stay clear of regrets, but okay, go for it.
No. So, a bit, just a touch of wider movie chat, carrying on from something we said last week.
Okay.
So I got a question for you first, which is kind of related. Again, something you said last week. You called the Beautiful Mind soundtrack manipulative.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which I don't necessarily disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I was thinking about. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, well, is it
When
the
are
point?
they not?
Yeah.
When are they
It's
not?
a fair point. So I guess it's... yeah, that's a good
I'll tell you
question.
why, because before I let you talk yourself into a corner, I'm going to be nice.
Yeah.
This week I heard the Moneyball soundtrack.
Right.
Which is what triggered this sort of thought. And I was thinking, is that manipulative? Because nobody's going to say, like, Moneyball's a manipulative movie, are they?
Yeah, well, I think it's when the music seems to be doing the heavy lifting, right? It's a soaring score, and it's very floaty like, and it's like you should be feeling the feels right now. You should be doing that. Whereas a score should just not disappear into the background, but it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be necessarily noticeable. And if it is, then I think that's where it's going wrong. And I think manipulative. I think it's only really going to be manipulative in a smushy kind of way. Like you don't really.
Just your cynicism coming through.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, like, could you have a manipulative one for an action film?
Yeah,
because kind of like, well, if the music's all.
So I'm there in the corner going, we're watching Gladiator, and I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go to battle now. And you're sat there going, done its job on you, hasn't it? You bloody idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
They've seen you coming. Look at you, all amped up for this.
If we're going to go over things we've said in the past and have to justify them, this is going to be a very awkward podcast.
No, I don't want you to justify it. I generally,
good,
I was like, that's sort of the point, though, isn't it? And I was like, I wonder, when is it? What's the difference? But I don't know.
No.
As mentioned many times,
we don't know what we're talking about.
We don't know what we're talking about. No.
This is true.
But yeah, following on from last week as well.
Yep.
You mentioned wanky films or film wankers.
Yep.
And then, obviously, you had a little dig at me.
As is my right.
As is your right, of course. And then you then went on to slag off Hollywood film for being Oscar bait in The Beautiful Mind.
Yes, right, yep.
Now, this week, we're discussing certainly not an Oscar baity film, much more along the wanky film lines.
Yeah.
So... We've made, and we've both done this. We've both made jokes about Oscar bait and Hollywood being shit and wanky films and film bros.
Yep.
What do we mean?
So I think a lot of it comes to pretentious, right?
Right.
I think that's what I was saying with wanky. It's like, it's trying to be really deep and meaningful, and doesn't it know it? And it's like, it's
when the being different becomes the substance instead of what they're actually doing with the film.
Yeah. So I think that's what turns me off there.
And it usually comes with fans, doesn't it, as well? Going, you wouldn't have so different. You wouldn't understand.
You can't criticise it because you just don't understand.
Yes. Yeah. So it's not like those films that are purposely different. It's not necessarily that makes them like. There's no inherent value in that. Like you've got to still be good being different isn't enough to make
Yeah,
you
and
good.
you can be good, different, and not be pretentious and wanky.
Yeah.
That's true.
And when they're not good, boy, are we going to call them wanky.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. Oscar bait. Difficult one, in a way. So
Well,
a lot of it is like, you think of the films that you think are traditionally Oscar winners, right? And we kind of mentioned this on, I think I mentioned this on the Beautiful Mind episode, which was, it's a biopic, tick. It's spread out over a long period of time, and there's a disability, and it's got the box ticking that the Academy, and this is partly the Academy's fault, right? Because they reward the same type of
Academy's got a lot of fuck to answer
movies. Yeah, they reward the same type of things, so you can kind of see it. So again, if it's a good movie that hits all those things,
and then who cares?
yeah, you're not
Doesn't matter.
necessarily saying it's going to be Oscar bait.
So Hollywood, Oscar bait, not inherently bad.
No, Hollywoody, like nothing wrong with a good old Hollywood
But if that's all you've got,
movie. Yeah,
shite.
needs the substance as well.
Yeah.
It's a careful balance.
which is why, I know, because I was thinking about this a little bit, of course, before when I was musing on it, I thought, give us a little pat on the back, because I thought, that's why it makes so much more sense to base our scale around like and dislike rather than what's objectively good or bad.
And also because we don't know.
We don't know.
No,
we
I mean, and that's the thing, right? Other podcasts are available, but you can try and listen to some of them.
Better podcasts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
100%. And if you want to actually learn stuff about films, or at least listen to people who think they know a lot about films,
oh God, you do not here.
plenty of those.
Yeah,
but
not
here.
No.
But I've seen a couple of clips on TikTok or somewhere, or Instagram, I don't know, some social media thing of someone dissecting this obscure foreign language film, and they're talking and they're overpronouncing every single name. When I say overpronouncing, I probably mean pronouncing correctly.
Yes, correctly. Yeah.
But going through that thing, they've got a nice, neat moustache. They are wearing trendy clothes, and they are very much film connoisseurs. And I've got no time for this.
Yeah. Were you angry just watching it?
I was a little bit. Yeah. But that's, I'm a judgmental little prick. So
Yeah. Fair enough. That's what I've always thought.
Yeah. I've got it on a t-shirt. Add that to the merch.
Yes. Oh, I'd love it if we get popular enough to do merch.
We've got a few ideas.
Yeah.
We just make it for ourselves. It doesn't matter. No one else needs to
I'd
know.
wear our merch.
Yeah.
As long as it's black. I have actually got an apology.
Go on then.
And it's from me. And it's to you.
Good.
I mean, really, it's to everybody, but there's not much difference at this
Anyone
stage of the
listening,
numbers. Yeah. So it's to you. Degrees of disagreements.
Yes.
I've no idea why I've been pushing that phrase when degrees of disagreement is almost exactly the same.
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
And it's actually a word.
It is a word. But I quite like the fact that it's not a word. If nothing else, just to irritate you a little bit.
I'll be honest. Like the degrees of disagreement hadn't even popped into my head.
Really?
I was like,
it was only when you wrote it down.
Why did I go for
disagreement?
Like, well, I'm pissing about trying to disagree and something. So focused on the alliteration, I'd forgot to use real words.
Agreement isn't a word either, right?
It sounds American.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's been made up by an American.
So do you want to switch, or you want to stick with the fake made-up word?
I think we should. I think we should switch. What do you think?
Go for it. Yeah, we'll sound out. We'll listen to the feedback from the
masses.
Fans. Yeah, and then
from your missus.
We'll go from there. In terms of what I've watched, I have only watched Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight.
I saw you'd watch the trilogy.
Yeah. But that's research for this, and plus, oh my god, I just couldn't stop after I watched the first one.
Couldn't stop. Like Pringles, once you pop, can't stop.
They're like so short.
Yeah, they are quite snappy, aren't they? Yeah.
We watched two in one night, like the first two.
So I went to watch the second one with the missus, and I said, I can't remember what I was doing on one night. I was like, why don't you watch
Sunrise
Before Sunrise tonight, and then tomorrow night we can sit down and watch this. And then that night came along. I was like, did you watch that? Yeah, it was shite. All right, maybe I'll just watch this one on my own then.
Oh, well, that's upsetting.
Yeah, so I thought so, because I really, really liked the first one.
Yeah. So we are in danger in today's episode. Before Sunset is only 80 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in danger of the podcast episode being longer than the film
Oh,
itself.
big chance of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which we've avoided just about so far.
Yeah, that's only because we've come off a run of 3-hour movies.
Yeah, exactly. But I did watch these movies on DVD, so my friend will be pleased with me because he's very much a believer that we should be pushing the physical media.
He's right.
Thing. Oh, he's definitely right, but I still won't do it because it's a lot easier to stream. So.
Yeah, no, he's
sorry. He's definitely right.
We'll save that for another episode. But yeah, physical media absolutely king. Streaming bad.
Good stuff.
All right, would you like me to go to the bag?
Beer me. So, Before Sunset. Is this a play on the name? Is this a relate? Because they don't think they drank a... Oh, wait, no. They did drink a beer in Before... No, that's Before Midnight. Getting confused. Didn't drink a beer in Before Sunset.
I've got 2 beers.
Oh, one each or 2 each?
Well, there's 4
Half
cans,
each.
so there's 2 each. There's 2 each. Right. Both of them, I think, are going to tap into the narratives that we'll be discussing today.
Okay.
Now, I don't want you to think that 2 beers is the norm. I'm not made of money. But I am a slave to the promotions.
4 for 3, was it?
It was 4 for 3. And I went in looking for 2, and it said 4 for the price of 3. And I thought, I'll be literally losing money if I don't get 4. Yeah. Literally. So the first one. As Carl unzips. I mean, you think he might have unzipped in preparation, but no. Oh, no, you did unzip in preparation, actually, didn't you? I did.
That was something different. Though.
That was something different. Just for the avoidance of doubt, that was my trousers. Moving on. So the first is from Wild Child Brewery.
Ooh,
I mean, there's a little link there if you want to go digging for it. But the beer's name is Chasing Epiphany.
Oh, I think I've had that before.
Which is a citron and mosaic session ale.
So Chasing Epiphany.
Yeah. Okay. Now, not to sound too wanky, like more than normal, right? But I love Citra and Mosaic as a hop combination, which...
you're allowed to sound wanky about beer because you're a beer wanker. It's fine.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. Right.
It's just films you can't be wanky
which this promises to deliver.
Excellent. I don't think you've come across. I don't think you've come across wanky enough about beer. That's my problem. I think you're giving a false impression.
Well, I mean, I could do citron, mosaic, lovely soft peach notes with a bit of earthy dank in there. Well, mosaic's quite an oily hop. Well, citrus quite an oily hop as well.
Give people what they want, Carl. Talk about beers.
Anyway, right. So yeah, citron mosaic. I love that combination. So I've got high hopes for this beer. Indeed, much like when one is chasing an epiphany. Ooh. Now to follow that up from Siren Brewery.
Oh, right. Double reveal. Here we go. I'm getting stuck into this, by the way.
When Chasing Epiphany almost inevitably disappoints, we've got Broken Dream.
Broken Dream. That's a good beer.
And it's a dark beer.
It is a dark. And as you know, I don't like dark beers.
Yeah.
However, that beer is awesome. Big fan. Nitro Breakfast Stout.
So there we go. Right.
Oh, cheers.
Well,
I'm ahead of you. There we go.
All right. Give me some of that citron mosaic good stuff. Oh, it's not bad,
Yeah, it's pretty good. Ooh, it's actually got the bitterness on it as well, Carl.
The IBU.
Rare.
What are we talking?
What would you say?
Well, 40s, 50s,
30.
40s.
Out of practice.
Yeah, I'm not too unhappy with that. 40s as a guess.
They rarely say it on the can anymore. Anyway, this has dissolved into wanky beer chat.
Good stuff.
Should we talk about the film?
Yes, I suppose so.
All right, so introducing the film Before Sunset. But before we do, a reminder of the ratings, our degrees of disagreement.
Thank you.
So you either really dislike it, that's not right. You really don't like it, you don't like it, you're ambivalent.
Simple 5 points.
You like it, you really like it. The disagreements threw me off. So I'm blaming you. So I'm just going to start off by saying that unlike with Star Wars, where we did say that we would try and ignore any of the subsequent ones.
I'm glad you said this because I had the same thought.
I think we're going to have to refer... It's a middle of a trilogy.
Sequels are different, right?
Yes, I think so.
They don't necessarily stand on their own merits, nor do they have to.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense.
If we ever get to Star Wars sequels, then the prequels play in, that's fine.
Okay.
The actual prequels, not the fucking...
The original... Yes, I know what you mean. So, who likes it, who doesn't? Ooh, you've already said you really liked... Before Sunrise,
I
would you
really
say?
like Before Sunrise, yeah. It was a 4.5 star out of 5 for me, Before Sunrise.
Oh, so straight up
I
5.
hit
Straight up 5
hit
for
the
me.
like thing as well. So
Straight up 5 for me.
Oh, we're very close on Before Sunrise.
And Before Sunset, then? Where do you sit on that? Stand on that?
Oh,
Sit on it?
listen, I really want to like it. I am ambivalent. And I say I'm ambivalent because I don't think I could go as far as to say I don't like it.
Mm.
I mean, maybe the fact that I want to like it so much is dragging it up. I don't know, but I'm certain I can't say that I like it. So
Okay, well, I really like this movie. This whole trilogy holds a special place in my heart. And what I like, or really like, about this movie is what I think could have been a by-the-numbers sequel that's solely dependent on just filling gaps and answering all the questions left open before Sunrise. It does rise above it. Yes, it does answer a lot of those questions, which may annoy some people, but I think that it does so in a really powerful and positive way, and by no means spoils the original, and actually develops the story and the characters that I actually adore in a, I don't know, magnificent way that shows that One Night in Vienna, which was the subject of the first film, did actually mean something profound and had a profound impact on the rest of their lives. So it does this, I think, with a level of tension which has no place in a romance character-driven piece that is solely dialogue either, which I think is a bit of a masterstroke. So I really like this film. I'm going to quite look forward to talking about it. Carl, what don't you like?
White coffee.
Grow
Up,
brother.
Honestly. Oh, it's too bitter. Black coffee's too bitter. Pathetic.
What about people who put sugar and sweetener in
my God.
in their white coffee?
Just get a hot chocolate or something, for God's sake.
Just drink a can of Coke.
Ridiculous.
And the film?
Yeah. I found your opening gambit there interesting. I definitely disagree with some of that, but I'm interested with some of the things you said there.
I seek to be interesting. I fail, but I seek.
Yeah, you can try, can't you? First, a bit of a funny story, which is relevant, I promise you. So, I watched the film. I make my notes as I go, as I do. As usual, those notes run to several pages. Again, not entirely shocking. And then another thing I always do afterwards, I'll read some reviews.
Sure.
Ones that agree with me, ones that don't, all the rest of it. I'm looking for like opposing viewpoints. Did I miss something? I'm looking for, have I got that right? Do other people agree with me? And then again, as is the norm, I'll find a much more concise review.
Sure. Yeah.
That says exactly what I think. A fraction of the words.
You have a method. It works for you. Let's go with it.
And this one's no exception. I found that review. I was like, yeah, that's absolutely nailed it. It was my fucking review, wasn't it?
You idiot.
From the first time round. So rewatching this has changed not a single thing for me.
Interesting.
And the greatest irony of all of this is I hardly ever write reviews that aren't overly long. But this one was
You're bang on. So,
I was bang on.
So you agreed with yourself. Well done.
I agreed with myself. So look, we've touched on this. I love the first one. The thing I loved about it was it did such a good job of capturing romance, that youthful, not necessarily approach to romance, but what romance is sort of like at that age, that experience of a moment. And I think that in the moment bit is key, because that first film is only about that. It's only about what happened in that moment.
Yep.
What happened next is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. To the
and
first
the
film.
problem I have with this film is when you try to do something along the lines of what happened next, it becomes no longer about moments and experiences, and we're now sucked into telling a story about two characters. Now, you said character-driven. I didn't think the first one was character-driven at all. Now, that's not to say that those characters didn't serve the story very, very well. It's not to say that the actors didn't do a good job with those characters. It's just that they weren't the significant part of that story, of what that was.
They were literally the sole things
what
in
that
it.
was captured. I didn't come out of that film going, oh, isn't it wonderful that Jesse and
Celine.
fucking what's her name? Celine had a lovely night. It's not the point. For me, that was never about Jesse and Celine. And
that would have been a great review. Oh, did they have a lovely night?
Yeah. So picking up their characters, It's difficult. And look, I've got to acknowledge as well, you're on a hiding to nothing because I love that first one. It was so great. It was always going to be difficult to live up to that. And the thing is, you said it doesn't step on the first one. And I think it does, and I think that was inevitable because you've picked it up and you're going to answer some things that were left ambiguous. And that inevitably then comes with you as a viewer reshaping what you thought about that first one a little bit, which is what happened for me.
Fair enough. All right, so let's get straight to the cast. Stacked cast.
Oh,
I mean, this is going to take an hour to get through. So let's
Philippe.
I was about to say let's start with Philippe, the only other named character in the whole thing.
Was he actually?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he was named, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not look at what his name was.
No, and neither did I.
Or
Let's
think
not.
about him.
No. The only reason I did think about him is the fact that is he still waiting for him? Still waiting in the car for him? Who knows?
Well, maybe we'll find out in the third one.
You haven't seen the third one yet, have you?
No.
God damn it. Okay, fine. Oh, this is.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but I can't really speak too much. Okay, fine.
Yeah, we don't. No,
that's fine.
Hang on. We talked about these rules. You can't talk about the third one. It hasn't happened yet.
Oh, okay, fine. So let's start with.
I'm glad that came up now. Fucking spoiler alert. Jesus.
Ladies first. What? There's a third one.
Oh, look. Can we discuss Hawk first?
Well, I was going. We always start with the male.
I know.
Leads. I was trying to mix it up a bit.
I know.
Go on then. Jesse, Ethan Hawke. Not Ethan Hunt, as I always say.
Very different.
Mm.
Do you know what? I think we might have another Leonardo DiCaprio on our hands here.
Really?
Yeah.
I agree, but also, I've seen some of his other films.
Mm.
He's nowhere near as good in those films as he is in this.
Okay, right. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better because before watching Sunrise,
yes,
I really did not like Ethan Hawke.
Mm.
And I watched Before Sunrise, in which he's bloody brilliant.
Amazing, yeah.
And I thought, maybe I've got that wrong. And then I'm watching this one, and I'm, paying a bit more closer attention this time because I'm making notes and what have you. He's like effortless.
Yeah.
Absolutely effortless with it. And I'm like, have I got Ethan Hawke wrong? So I'm going to have to give some of his films a rewatch and maybe give him another go. But yeah, fantastic here.
Yeah, beyond this trilogy and Boyhood, which is also the Richard Linklater one, which you've not seen that either, have you?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you really need to do some watching, boy. And Training Day, which I can't actually recall his performance per se in Training Day. And
difficult
a long time ago
because he does play a bit of a prick. He's playing a narcotic cop, right?
It's fine. You can be a good actor in acting as a prick.
I wouldn't have noted whether someone was acting well at that age.
No, definitely not. But I've not seen him in a lot else beyond those, and certainly not where he's been this good. I've not really separated out each of their performances, by the way, because I think combined, actually, I can say the same for both of them. So, touch on Julie Delpy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Delpy or is it Delphi? Is there some weird French pronunciation?
Let's
just go Julie Delpy, who plays Celine.
Mm-hmm.
So same. I've not seen her in a lot else.
No, me neither. Sadly, this is why I want to do a second. I don't disagree. I don't agree.
No.
Ooh, now, okay. I'm not. Let's get this straight.
Are you separating actress from character?
Yeah, I'm talking about acting.
Yes.
Let's get this straight. I'm not saying she's bad.
No.
Right. But the difference between her and Hawke in this is I could see her acting.
Oh,
I could see her waiting for her cue. And then when it came, immediately go into what was obviously rehearsed, what she was going to do, a line, a reaction, where she was going to look. Right. And then I'd watch Hawke, and none of that.
Natural.
It's just the most natural, effortless thing in the world. Now, you take just the minutest step back from that level of scrutiny, and she's fine. She's fine, and the chemistry's great, and all the rest of it. But I can't put her performance in the same level as Hawke's. I thought he was perfect, and I could just see her acting a little bit.
Yeah, so I've not seen her in a lot else, although I have added the Three Colours trilogy to my watch list, which could potentially be pretentious and wanky, but I do want to see him. She appears in two of those. It's ones I was aware of when I was at university and never got around to watching.
She has some bit parts in some Hollywood films.
Yeah, she has. She's appeared in stuff, but nothing that you would like go, oh, that's a Julie Delpy film.
Yeah.
she's obviously appeared in something Marvel-y at some point as well, as all actors have.
Yeah, sadly. But look, I mean, comparing her to Hawk, no, I don't think she's in that same league, but she's very good.
Yeah, and as I said, I thought they were both natural and enthralling, and I probably would say that Hawk was the better of the two, if I had to pick. But I think both of their performances just seem so authentic, real, and granted, more eloquent and interesting version of real, but still real.
Oh God, yeah! Can you imagine? Imagine if you were in this.
Imagine if you recorded 2 hours of me talking. Oh wait,
do you like PlayStation? I like PlayStation.
But yeah, I thought the ability to show that their characters have aged and matured as well, like to be able to take the characters from the first movie and them to be still recognizably the same people but different people. I thought both of them did that amazingly well, and the chemistry is just palpable, if I'm using that correctly.
I agree on the chemistry.
You got anyone else to talk about?
No. Well, move on to the recasting.
Yeah, I've just said no for recasting. Fuck off. I'm not recasting any of these two. I can't even think how you would.
All right. Well, let's see.
This?
I've got a few names. I tell you what, I'd love to see Emily Blunt do a French accent.
Would you make her do the French accent?
Oh yeah. Oh
right.
God, yeah.
How about just speaking French?
Oh my God, yeah. And I understand the perfect level of French, so that I wouldn't know what she was saying.
But you get the gist.
I get the gist.
Yeah.
And she could be saying stuff like, "Oh, how direct did she mean that? Oh, I'm not quite sure. It's exciting, isn't it?"
Yeah. In all seriousness,
though,
would
she then be Amélie Blunt?
I believe. Oh wait, no, I'm getting confused with another film. No, but would it be super weird if they made this kind of film about a French girl and they just used an American actress with an accent?
Yeah, that'd be shit. It'd be really shit if they did that. So look, I got some actual names. So the only French one I could come up with who was actually maybe a touch too young was Audrey Tautou.
Yep.
Who I just thought she's got that sort of that bustle of energy about her.
Yeah, certainly too young.
She's about 6 years younger than Julie. Yeah. The other one I got, you'd have to change your nationality and change the setting in the film because we're moving to German, is Franca Potente, I think you say it, or Potent. She is I forget the character name, but she's the girl in The Bourne Identity.
Oh, right, her, yeah, she's done a few things, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because this only works with a very, very European girl,
yes.
Right? To touch on the heresy you just suggested. I thought she'd have that super. She's got a bit about her. She's got that sort of that pent up energy again. She's hold her on. And one I'd really like to see in this, who think of Delpy's doe-eyed bits, is Monica Bellucci. Again,
bit old.
Same sort of energy. No, same same age as, I think there's a year in it or something. Her and
Monica Bellucci, because she was in the second of the Matrix films, right?
Oh God, I don't know.
She was she?
No, I don't remember in the Matrix films. You could be right, but again, I think of that sort of. She's got that facial expression that I just think she's not too. I don't know. She's almost not too serious, but she's got I think she's maybe a little bit too.
I think she might be a bit too serious, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure she's got the actressing chops either to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's
be the only thing.
That's fair enough with her. All right, let's try some Jessies on.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Do you know who I think, if they remade this, Hollywood would cast as Jesse in an alternate universe? I say an alternate universe because he's too old now. And it'd be awful.
Go on.
Matt Damon.
You're just getting the Matt Damon digs in again.
We need a guy, a student, travelling across Europe on a train, and he's it's Matt Damon. Did you see Good Will Hunting? Yeah, it's Matt Damon. Get him in. Anyway, so I've got two that I think are really good, and then I've got another four. As I was just, you're leafing through actors, and you think they could do it.
Okay, yeah.
So quickly moving through the four. Patrick Dempsey.
No,
you're not feeling Patrick Dempsey.
No. Rom-com little twit, isn't he?
Patrick Dempsey?
Yeah.
No, he's got that sort of...
good film he's been in.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Name a good film I've seen that he's been in.
All right, never mind. Moving on. Casey Affleck.
Yeah, I mean, he is a proper actor. He could.
Yeah, now
he could do
Casey
anything.
Affleck, possibly just a touch too forlorn and serious. But
I reckon he's got range. I reckon.
he's got the
He
chops, hasn't
could
he?
do anything.
Mark Ruffalo. You've got to think of all these as their young versions as well. They're 20,
I know. I'm
20
thinking. Yeah, I love Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Again, he can do pretty much anything.
And this one's a little off the wall.
He's probably not quite. You don't think he could? Well, maybe he could do the cockiness side.
Yeah,
of
he
things
could do
as
the
well.
cockiness, Mark Ruffalo, yeah. I think he's got a good range. Now, this one's a little off the wall, but if you've seen Swingers, Jon Favreau.
I have seen Swingers.
Think of that sort of... There's a hint of... There's a real vulnerability to him in Swingers.
And I'm just
touch
thinking
of
how
patheticness.
he aged.
There's a bit
into
of
this, like the subsequent films
wisecracking still.
could be a little bit different. But
Well,
like,
yeah,
you look, Rod. Apart from you've gained double your body
and you've
weight.
lost. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but here's the two I really like. Owen Wilson.
No.
Think Midnight in Paris.
No,
Owen Wilson.
Still no.
No?
No. He's too Owen Wilson-y. He hasn't got the range.
You imagine when they're going back and forth and they're gently ribbing each other? He's got that in spades. He's got the vulnerability.
No.
And then the other one was Sam Rockwell.
I mean, Sam Rockwell. Yeah,
recently.
He's probably he might be a bit too zany, a bit too.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But again, I'm thinking of that when they're bantering and stuff. That's right in.
I think you had
Rockwell's
two. I think you had two good. I think the Casey Affleck and I can't remember the second one.
That's just because you really like Casey Affleck.
I do like Casey Affleck.
Mark Ruffalo.
No, yeah, Ruffalo. Yeah, you could have this.
Okay, there we go.
Not bad. Let's move on to production. So, the screenplay was written by Linklater, and this time with Hawke and Delpy writing alongside, writing their characters. A troubled, I guess, pre-production in trying to get funding for it and everything like that. There's a couple of false starts and took a while to go. And interestingly, was Oscar nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Any idea why adapted screenplay?
Did they put it out as a book first?
No. Because
Play?
the Academy is fucking stupid. And they have a rule, which is, even though it's not based on anything else, any sequels make them adapted screenplays regardless.
Oh, because it's based on existing IP, I suppose.
Yeah. But it's not like when you say adapted screenplay, you think, oh, it used to be a book, it used to be something, and you've taken that and you've just added your thing to it. So, reason 842 why the Oscars are shit.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
But hey ho,
because you're still creating something. Well, you're not creating entirely from scratch. Look, I get that there is a slight thread of logic there, but it seems really cheap when you're picking up your own work. It's not like somebody's rebooting a franchise. Is it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Awards are shite, children.
Yeah.
Stay away.
It's the taking part that counts.
Let's not go that far.
So anyway, this is
they've gone woke.
This is directed by Linklater. Again, he did all three of them, although I can't speak of the third one yet. But do you know the story of how these films are originated?
Well, now don't tell me anything about the third.
I won't.
So, as I understand it, this is a semi-autobiographical tale of Linklater's own travels through Europe, and I assume his own romance.
So, he had once spent a night walking and talking around Philadelphia, so not Europe.
Oh my God.
With a woman called Amy.
That's not the same at all.
In 1989. Well, the walking and talking, I suppose.
Yeah.
And a night. And a woman.
Was she a crack whore?
You've been to Philadelphia.
It was a very brief visit. In and out.
So this is, I read this on the IMDb trivia, so it could be bollocks.
Yeah.
But it almost made me tear up this. Okay, right, listen.
Right, right.
So they initially stayed in touch over the phone, so different.
Mm.
They lost contact eventually, and in 1994, Linklater shot Before Sunrise based on his night with Amy. And like Jesse in Before Sunset in this film, he was secretly hoping that Amy had heard of the movie and would show up at the premiere, but she did not. When Before Sunset was released, she did not show up either, and it wasn't until 2010, before he started production on the second sequel, Before Midnight, that a friend of Amy who knew about their story contacted Linklater to tell him that Amy had died in a motorcycle accident in May 9th, 1994, at the age of 24, a few weeks before he started even shooting Before Sunrise.
That is sad.
It's sad, isn't it?
It's also nothing like the version of the story. So I didn't read where the screenplay for Before Sunrise came from on like an article or an interview or anything like that. That information I had was from other reviews on Letterboxd. People say, "Oh, it was based on his." I mean, boy, have they got the wrong end of the stick then?
Yeah, I guess he could have travelled around Europe. He could also have met a girl in Philadelphia, and he's just gone,
yeah.
Put those two together.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Yes.
And again,
it's very sad.
was on IMDb trivia. Could be bollocks.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't have to be true to get on there. You just have to type something.
No, we could add something. What could we add?
You could add all sorts of
Could be a
stuff.
fun game.
Yeah. Oh,
We should start adding stuff like, as discussed on the Movie the Needle podcast.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Anyway, tell me about anything about the production that led you down the ambivalent path.
All right. Okay. I'll show my hand a little bit. I've got two.
At some point,
2 points
an hour in
on the production. Only 2. And most of my stuff is in the plot. There will be some overlap, but it's mostly because it just flows better that way. Sort of my thoughts on it.
We'll be the judge of that.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But one of the reasons I've only got 2 points is because generally the production I think is very good.
I would agree.
There's no music or soundtrack. I think there's one song at the end, or 2 songs at the end.
Not that I noticed. Let's put that
and you know how I love sound design that's out of the ordinary like that. And it does feel very natural. It's a very nice way to
long takes,
bring conversation to life, and hear the sounds of the city around you, stuff like that. Yeah, long takes. So funnily enough, a bit of a digression or a sidebar, as we're now Americanized into saying. I saw a TikTok today about it was actually the X-Files, TV series The X-Files.
Okay.
And they were talking about how they were talking about streaming, but I guess this is true of the industry in general. As like a lot of other industries, it's now so focused on the bottom line that they're always looking for ways to cut costs and everything. And everything these days is done on like sound stages and closed sets, and there are shortcuts people take. Obviously CGI, they rise to CGI, but they were talking about the X-Files, and they were saying good camera work is like such a dying art. And they showed a really innocuous scene: Mulder and Scully getting out of a car. Right, the camera is on the the other side of the road, so you can see the car in between them and the house they're going to visit.
Sure.
And then as they get out the car, the camera follows them across the road, and we pan around and it comes around in front of them, so then we see their faces as they're talking. Then it moves around again and they get to the door, and then we see the people opening the door. This is all one shot. And the guy was sort of talking through it going, this is great art, you've got to coordinate so much. He's pointing out that they're doing this for real in the light. So they've only got so many goes to get this right, and they've got to go. This film's full of stuff like that, where you've got those long shots, and you almost don't appreciate them.
No, because it feels so natural.
So it's only when somebody like I said, I saw a TikTok today about it. So when somebody points out, you go, "Oh, that's why it felt so good." Because someone can step you through.
Even just things as simple as when they're walking and talking, right?
Yeah,
and the camera is just going back as they are walking essentially towards the camera constantly for a big thing, and then turning corners and doing all that. And you don't, it's like, you obviously don't ever see the camera, but you're not even thinking that there's a camera, right? You're just thinking, I'm just watching these two people.
100%. It makes a difference.
There's no like close-ups as they're going. It's just them in the two
because
shots.
it's not done for what's easiest to produce. It's done for what's going to look best on screen. And that's the difference.
That brings so many positives. I'm going to sound wanky, but you can, being able to just see their reactions to each other, rather than having a close-up of her talking,
rather than cutting,
and then a cut to him, and then a cut to her. It's where you realise when they're doing the good acting or how they're 100%. Doing it. Because I was just watching Hawk as she was talking, and just his sort of micro reactions and micro or nearly jumping in but not jumping in, and all those little things, which again, just like as you do naturally.
Yeah. No, 100%. Again, look, I don't want to stray into territory where we try to make it sound like we know what we're talking about, but did you see the Bohemian Rhapsody scene that got nominated for Best Editing at the Oscars that year? It's got so
the film got nominated.
The film got nominated for Best Editing, and then the clip they put up on screen to demonstrate, right? And it became somewhat notorious because it has something like 13 cuts in this one screen, and it's just them sat down at a table discussing, having a conversation, and it's cut in from one, and it's like Jesus. And as soon as someone's pointing that out, you go, "That is awful."
Yeah.
And the joke is, of course, that got nominated for best editing, and it's like, be better. And this film is what being better looks like, because they found another way to do it that isn't just right now we'll do your line, right now we'll do your line and cut to you, right now we'll do your line.
And I guess that choice is somewhat made because it's basically 80 minutes of dialogue. Right, so it's not like they're cutting to.
Well, yes and no. Look, they're doing it. They were doing it in the
like
X-Files because they thought it was a good shot on a random episode. That is maybe just what the craft looks like, and the easier way out is the other thing, to just go, well, yeah, that might look better, but this is easier. I don't know.
And just to pick up on something you said about the X-Files there about the light and things. So this film took 15 days to shoot, which is crazy. How do you make a film in 15
fast.
days?
And then they'll have had an hour a day when Paris is quiet. And...
Well, that's it. So it takes place basically in real time, right?
Yeah.
This movie, I think essentially is real time.
Yeah.
All in sort of mid-late afternoon, early eevening time, which was the only day that they therefore allowed themselves to film.
Yeah.
So you're saying 15 days, but only really 3 hours of that time or whatever. Yeah. So the amount of time and how they managed to get such quality performances out of them in that time, I think is just amazing. It makes it even more impressive.
I agree.
And that they shot everything pretty much in sequence as well, because they were still kind of developing the screenplay as they were going. And we've talked about making it up as you go along on a few different episodes. But I don't know how people can do it. Most stressful thing. But doing that, add in limited amount of time.
Yeah.
They were in the middle of a heat wave as well, so it was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever all times during Paris at that point.
Yeah.
And they probably not got a lot of money to fall back on. So hell of an achievement to be able to...
I completely agree. Look, let me move on to my couple of gripes that I've got on the production then. So I understand the exposition at the start. I understand that that's a necessary setup, right? I actually don't have a problem with exposition per se. There's good exposition and there's bad exposition.
But a little bit. Who is watching this film without having watched the first one? And fuck off.
Well, sure, but you need to do a little bit at least to say, well, why is he in Paris?
So I would say yes to the book signing bit where they are asking him questions, and that gives him a point to kind of explain it.
Yeah,
didn't need the flashbacks. Like the actual images from the first film.
No, I think that's fair. It's not something I noted down, but yeah, you could lose those. No, my only problem with the exposition actually was the last question, actually about his next book. Yeah. And then he goes into the monologue about what he is thinking his next book's going to be about, which is really an explainer of where he is in his life and where he sees his life going, right? And I thought that really missed a trick, because that should have been to her. He shouldn't have been saying that to a fucking journalist in the bookshop. The entire first movie was predicated on them exchanging bits and pieces like that, and I thought they really missed a trick. I was watching that. I was going, I mean, he's not going to be the first thing he says to her, but like, oh, isn't that something that's come out in the sort of the unfolding of their conversation over the next hour, like the first one did? So I was a bit sort of like, well, that was a bit clunky. Which, look, I am only ambivalent about this film. It's a really minor gripe, but that was one of them.
Not something I noticed to write down, but fine.
But you know what I mean, though. Like when I say about how the whole film is predicated on those sorts of exchanges.
Oh, 100%. Like then, that's literally what it's all about. Yeah.
And the clunkiness for me was, well, why is he giving that one to the journalist and not her? Whatever. My main problem, I guess you could say, with this film from a production point of view, of which I have very few problems. It is actually, for my money, a bit too short. maybe not by much.
We've rarely said that on this podcast.
But it's a bit too short. It's only an hour and 20, isn't it?
It is an hour and 20.
And the first one, despite that, I think it was an hour and 40, the first one. That's short too. But that still felt like it had room to breathe. This one, for me, is a lot more breakneck.
Well, I think, and intentionally so, right? And that comes down to what I said in the opening monologue bit, where it's not just a retread of the first movie, where they go, oh, let's spend another night with them, where they've got all of this time, like 10 hours, 12 hours, almost a whole day, right?
Yeah.
That they're spending. This is on ticking as... Oh, you won't get it. You haven't seen the last one.
No, yeah.
Anyway, it's like a ticking bomb. You'll get this when you watch it. Or rather, a ticking timer on a bomb. Which it adds this level
Does he
of...
have to defuse a bomb in the third
peril.
one?
Yeah, that's the spoiler. Yeah.
Turns out he's actually James
Bond.
Bond.
That would be amazing. If the tone of it just switched completely, it became Ethan Hunt.
Yeah. Ethan Hunt, yeah.
But yeah, it adds like this level of... it's almost like peril and tension, right? Because at the start, and I'm going to be talking all over the plot here, so apologies, but you don't know on that opening book signing bit, you don't know when she appears. Is this the first time they've seen each other or not? Like they might have, you don't know at this point. It's left. You still don't know whether they're seeing each other again or this is the first time. That's not revealed until they're together and alone and start talking. It becomes apparent that obviously this is the first time they've seen each other in 9 years, which then goes, oh crap, the clock almost starts ticking. Then it's like, right. And as I said, the first bit, it's like, well, will they, won't they? Oh, and then it develops to, oh crap, well, should they? Like, or will, like, would you? Like, this it asks all these different questions against this limited amount of time that they have as well. So I think that it makes it a different movie rather than just going, because the first one was very much like, it's not showing the whole thing, right? It's showing bits, and then there's a bit of a time jump as they've gone somewhere else, and then it's bits, and then there's a scene, Whereas this is basically just a continuous amount of time.
Well, look, I understand what you're saying. I agree with the idea that this is a different movie and they're discussing different themes and whatever. I guess like both can still be true. For me, I didn't quite, and maybe this is, I mentioned about Delpy's acting was just not quite as natural as Hawke's, and Delpy's character in this has a lot more urgency to get things off her chest, right? Than he does. He has a bit of a slower reveal with where he is, and I just thought it was just I'm talking just a tad too rushed, and it just got in the way of it a little bit of me buying her sort of turnaround, because she's initially very happy to see him before she sort of falls apart a little bit, and then she's a bit angry and all the rest of it. I just needed just a bit more room to breathe, right? Whether that be just an extra few seconds in between scenes, whether that just be a few more pauses in between them talking, I don't know. It just felt a bit too frantic and rushed for me. And I get the point, yeah, it's a deliberate mood shift that they're going for, but I didn't quite buy it. And I think for me, I could have just done with a little bit more.
You're like the third
room
one
to
then.
Breathe. Say again.
You're like the third one more.
Okay.
So that does reflect my changes, right? Which is, oh my god, just make it longer so I can spend more time with them, because I just like adore these two people and watching them. And add more dialogue. That's fine. I just want to watch these two people talk
more dialogue.
Thanks. More. Just more. So there's some other really good things production-wise that I just want to point out and highlight. So I think Paris looks great, right? But not in a, oh wow, look at me.
Yes.
And
not in a Hollywood sense.
no, very much just like, oh, like you would actually,
like you were walking around the city.
yes, exactly.
You didn't see Notre Dame with a big aerial shot. You saw it from the boat as they go down the sea.
Exactly, from a tourist boat.
Yeah, from a tourist boat. Yeah,
Which I'd love to, again, a little bit plotty, but just her being a Paris native.
Well,
like, I don't got this shit.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I love that. Because I imagine that is exactly how you would feel. Quick sidebar, as you would say. I was genuinely upset that I didn't go to Le Pure Cafe that they went to when I went to Paris last time, and I was just like, I didn't even think about going to this location. I was like, it even looked like a cafe that we went to. I was like, oh, did we accidentally go to it? That would have been amazing.
So it looked like a Parisian cafe.
He's like,
you're saying?
Yeah, basically. I was like, oh, but there was that seating else. There was that little bit. Oh. And I was like, no, it's close to where we were, but not quite where we went.
Yeah.
But it did get me to thinking. Have you ever been to a location just because it was a set of a film? Location of a film?
Well, hang on. Do you mean like have I planned a trip around that? Or
No, have you been somewhere and you've got, I'm going to go to here because...
Yes, so I was in Hamburg last year to primarily to watch a Metallica gig.
Sure.
2 Metallica gigs. Now, a lot of Auf Wiedersehen Pet was filmed in Hamburg. So we went to...
Not a movie, but go for it.
Went to the bar. Well, one of the bars where that was filmed. So yeah, I've done that.
Again, not a movie. But
all right, not a movie. Have I done a movie?
You do struggle with this whole movie podcast thing, don't you? Where you just naming short animations and when we were doing the
it's not feature length. Well, I don't know. I'll have to come back to you. I feel like probably. I feel like if that was something I was knew of in a play, but I'll go check that. I'll get a photo.
I was thinking, I was like, I don't think I have. And I went down the same route as you. I was like, well, when I was in Boston, I went to see the Cheers thing. But I was like, it's not a film.
I mean, I've been to the Eiffel Tower and Condor Man was filmed there.
And what was?
Condor Man.
I thought you said Condom Man.
No. I mean, it's not much less camp. It's not
a condom
phrase. Yeah, it's weird.
Quite. So the 2 places that I thought of was Alnwick Castle for the Harry Potter was filmed.
Right.
So went there specifically because Harry Potter was filmed there. And lots of other things as well.
Was Holy Grail
Blackadder and probably. I mean, it's been used for quite a lot of things. And also when we went to Lake Como in Italy, there's a villa on the lake where scenes from Star Wars Episode 2 of the prequels was filmed.
Fucking movies. Gladiator.
Oh, you
beat that.
Well, you went specifically to the Colosseum?
Yes. So there's a Colosseum in El Jem in Tunisia, which I believe is the Colosseum that they use for when he's under Oliver Reed's Oliver Reed's posse.
Yeah, before he gets the big time.
Yep. And we went and did a day trip there, and it was fantastic. By the way, it's still in really good nick. And they sold that on the basis of didn't know it was there. They sold that on the basis this was used in the film in the Gladiator. Yeah, I'm there. So there you go. Gladiator.
That's the answer. That is a film. Well done.
Yeah. Thanks.
So anyway, back to things I liked about the production is the staircase walk.
Yeah.
So just the way that was done and how fucking long that was of just walking up the stairs, I thought was brilliant. Because you're like, are they there? No, they're still going. And they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
It's just silence of anticipation. And I was just like, this is just beautiful. So there's that. And
you know, to take it back to what I said earlier, that's the sort of thing I wanted a little more of. Right. I think that's regardless of the actual. They are discussing different things in this film. Regardless of the content we're discussing, that's the thing I wanted a little more of because that is the thing that makes it so real and gives it such a.
And on that as well, like the dialogue itself, it's not like linear. You know what I mean? Like they go over
like
things,
a real conversation.
Yeah, and then they go back.
Yeah,
and then they go forward, and then they go back again.
Yes,
and then they put in little jokes, but not like I'm saying this joke for funny, just like natural jokes that would come out of it, and it's just so authentic, so natural.
It really does sound real. I mean, you can't give it higher praise than that. Fantastic.
You got anything else on the?
No, I just got them a couple of changes.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
My first change is slightly tongue in cheek, because following on from what you said about how natural it sounds and the fact that they don't go for a soundtrack and everything, the song "Her Waltz" is a fucking hate crime. Right.
Yeah, I've got that in the plot more than.
Why on earth they felt they should abandon that approach to capturing what's been said in that moment and go to a studio recorded version of a song was ridiculous. And do you know what? It would have been amazing with some mistakes in it and some not perfect singing.
I was waiting for it as well.
It would have been amazing. It would have been perfect.
I did say I'd say I put this in the plot for changes because I thought the song at the end was completely out of step. Yeah. With the tone for the rest of it.
I thought your whole vibe for that.
It's actually beautifully performed, right? Yeah. Like in terms of doing it, but it's just like
it's not real.
Yeah,
it's not real.
No, I wanted a couple of stumbles or voice cracking or something.
Yeah,
and or even
But like, even if they recorded that,
Just stop
you could
halfway through,
tell
don't
that
finish
was
it.
a studio recording at that point. You can tell. So anyway, yeah. Look, I ditched that, but it's not a big deal. But I ditched that. Yeah. And it's the thing I've already said. It's maybe just not long enough, and I just wanted just a couple of extra moments here and there.
I can feel that. Why couldn't you have a flight a little bit later? Eh?
Well,
indeed.
Yeah.
Just on the
going to miss it anyway.
On the song thing, I did like the little kind of parallel with the first movie. So when they get in the first movie, the poet who's says, "Oh, you're gonna pay me? I'll write you a poem."
I nearly bought a beer based on milkshake.
Oh right, yeah.
Because it says milkshake.
But then you remembered milkshake IPAs are shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, there's a parallel where he was like, "No, he probably just has a poem and just drops in that word."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then in the song where
do you drop that guy? This
I thought nice little parallel there without sort of whacking it over the head. And that is the end of part 1. Tune in later in the week for part 2.